On today's video, we're going to be talking about the cons of instructional design. Let's get started. Hello, Learning Nerd Nation, and welcome on in to the nerdiest video you are going to see today. Today, we're talking about the cons of instructional design. This YouTube series has already covered the pros about what it is to be an instructional designer, but also I want you to have realistic perspectives and expectations about the role. So, of course, I need to now talk about the cons, the not so great parts about instructional design. Now, warning, 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 disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. I am not trying to dissuade you from becoming an instructional designer. I just want you to have this information just so that way you know about the cons of the job. Because, of course, let's be realistic here. It's still a job. There are good days and bad days when it comes to any job, and this definitely is the same thing. So let's go and dive on in and talk about these. And once again, before I go any further too, these are my cons. You may have a friend or colleague or a fellow peer watch this video and actually say like, that con is actually my pro, or vice versa. Totally understand. But these are my cons, this is my perspective, and I hope it helps you out. So let's dive on into these. Con number one is your schedule and stability. I remember when first going into instructional design, and I just Googled pros and cons about instructional design. And one of those blogs that I read a long time ago, it mentioned that the number one pro was the schedule. And I was like, so am I doing something wrong? I was like, because my schedule is never the typical 9 to 5, and then I just shut my laptop and then never think about something again until the next day. That has never happened to me ever. When it comes to my schedule, it very much depends around the team with who I am working with. So if I am working with multiple subject matter experts, and let's say that for one person, they work best in the mornings, that's when they are the most creative, that's when they have availability within their schedule, then I'm going to try to do something in the mornings. For other people, where if their creativity is actually at the end of a day, they're winding down, and then they can do a type of a call way at the end of a day, then yeah, I'm going to put a call at the end of a day. And other times, you're going to be going into meetings that are longer in nature. If I am filming, if I need to go and travel to campus or to a different type of location, and it's a long day of filming and then still doing other things on top of that, then yeah, that's going to happen. As of right now, with recording this video, I am working on seven different programs that I am currently working with the team on. And yeah, that's a lot of projects, a lot of different subject matter experts, and a whole bunch of different types of team members. So oftentimes I am double booked. Sometimes I'm triple booked. I'm aware, but this is definitely more of a me thing when it comes to being double booked and triple booked. That's not very common. It's only been recently that things have been ramping up in my instructional design world. So I have been very busy lately. But even beyond that, I have always been quite busy within my job. So the scheduling, the stability, that really has never been a pro for me at all. Now, keep in mind, too, I work in higher education, so I find this always funny, and for the teachers out there who are watching this video, you can 100% relate to this statement, is that when people ask me about like, oh, what are you doing for the summer? You have any plans? You're going on vacation? I'm like, no, I don't have any plans or time to do anything, because this summer is actually my busiest month as an instructional designer. You might be saying, well, why? Well, it's because that for other people, they have vacation. They're a little bit more on a easier streak. Things are a little bit more having some downtime currently. So with working with subject matter experts, if their downtime is the summer, they're not so busy. Guess who's going to be working with them over the summer? This guy. So my summer is usually jam-packed, and I don't take vacation because, of course, we're trying to get ready for all the courses to be launching in the fall. So that is when things are going to be really ramping up. And then usually around, of course, like for winter and for the holidays, then things start to finally slow down in my world. But for the most part, things are pretty crazy over the summer. So there is no such thing as like summers off or for anything like that. There is always something happening within the instructional design world within my schedule that I am always working on something. Con number 2 is constantly adapting to change. Now, I can see for some people why this is a pro. You don't want to be bored, so you love the idea of wearing many, many hats, and at different points of time during different projects, you get to take on different roles. I understand the appeal of that. I really do. But also, let's be honest in saying that if one day you need to be a researcher at this particular part of time, and the next you're doing reviewing, the next you're designing, the next you are coaching during the filming process, and you just basically wake up and say like, what does my day look like today? Like, what is it that I'm going to be doing? That gets really tiring after a while. And sometimes you really, really just hope to have a normal week, some form of stability where you're like, okay, I know what my week is like. Things are going to go this way. I can try to do a little bit more of a mental downshift here, and I can just focus on one or two things. Typically, that does not happen in my world. For some projects, I essentially need to put on one hat, take that off, put on a different hat, and then I keep on going and going and going until the end of the week. And once again, some people love that. Myself, I kind of do, but also if I'm working on so many things at the same time, it becomes kind of overwhelming. And then eventually you learn to thrive in the chaos, which is what I have now done after so many years that it has become normal to me to be able to kind of just like flip that switch and say, okay, I am on this project right now. I need to think like this, this, and this. And I just kind of keep on doing that for all my different types of projects. And now, speaking of change, when it comes to being an instructional designer, there is a lot of communication because you need to communicate to different stakeholders about different things. Now, I actually like that because I love relationships. It's the best part about the job of working with other people. So it's kind of weird to say that this is a con, but where it becomes a con is more about trying to remember all the various stakeholders and who to tell about what. So hypothetically speaking, let's say something is changing within a program. Well, who do I need to tell? I essentially have to like make a list of people where it's like, okay, do I need to tell marketing? Do I need to tell folks in accounting? Do I need to tell customer support or advising? Do I need to tell the subject matter experts or for the facilitators or the instructors or my team members or whoever, depending upon what the change is, I want to make sure that everyone is well informed. And that's just a lot of work when it comes to communication, staying on top of things, and making sure that you properly identify all the stakeholders. Because, of course, it has happened before where I forgot to tell one party about a change. And then all of a sudden I felt so bad because they didn't have the correct information on hand. It makes everybody look bad. And it's like, oh no, I'm so sorry. So that is definitely a con when it comes to making sure that everyone is well informed and updated at all times. So let me give you an example about this, by the way, just so that way it's not abstract and you can actually have a concrete example about this. Let's say we're working on a course and the students and the learners, they use a piece of software inside of the course, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, everything crashes, the software goes down, and what are you going to do? So first thing is first, you need to communicate with the students and the learners to apologize and say, I'm so sorry, but this is crashed. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to investigate immediately. Please hold. Then you need to talk to the vendor to be able to say, hey, what's up? Do you have an update status for me? What is happening? Why is this going down? Then you need to tell the customer support, the advising, whatever team you have for learner support to make sure that they know what to say and how to respond to people with either tickets or questions or phone calls or emails or whatever system that you use as far as for coming in. And of course, you need to tell the instructor or the facilitator about this because they need to be kept in the loop as well. And hypothetically speaking, anyone else, perhaps IT or engineering or whoever. That's just one example about something that's happening within a course that you are designing, and then, hey, it's live, and oh, something broke. Now what do you do? So that has happened to me before, actually, of a bunch of different types of programs where something will either go down or crash, or it's inaccessible for some reason. You didn't realize why, and all of a sudden something happened, and you're trying to figure out what to do next. So that's another part of this entire con list. And then the last, but absolutely not least con is being the middle person. No one likes feeling stuck in the middle of two parties arguing about something, and then now you find yourself in the middle trying to become the peacekeeper here. But this exact same thing keeps happening to me in the instructional design land, and it's so weird. Every time it happens to me, I reach out to other colleagues and friends just to say, like, has this happened to you? Because it keeps happening to me, and I don't know why. And people are like, oh yeah, all the time. That always happens. I was like, ugh, this is so weird. So let me peel back the curtain here, and let's give you an example before diving on in any further. Let's say that you are developing a brand new MBA program for your university. You have been assigned to work with subject matter experts, some of whom have given different forms of training and coaching on the very type of subject matter that you are building this program around. So it's like, okay, fantastic, let's get to work. When you are working with them, they mention about how one simulation they use is always a hit whenever they run the live person session for the course or a training. So they actually suggest that you need to use this, and they love it and they keep on raving about it. So you say, okay, sounds good. Let me vet this. Let me do my research, and I'll come back to you and I'll let you know what I think. So you go and do the research. You realize that they're right. The simulation is awesome. You can easily see how it can be incorporated inside the MBA program. You think it's an amazing idea. All your wheels inside of your head are turning about what different types of activities and assessments you can build around it. So you say, okay, this is what we're going to be using. I'm just going to go back and tell my senior team, and I'll let you know about next steps. So you go to your senior leadership and you say, hey, we have this simulation. It was recommended by all the subject matter experts. What do you say? And they're like, fantastic. How much does it cost? And then you give the number and they say, yeah, no. You're like, wait, but what do you mean no? They're like, oh, no, that's way too much money. Well, what do you want me to do then? Oh, just go back to the subject matter experts and see, is there an option B? Is there anything else they would recommend? And we can go from there. Okay. So you go back to your subject matter experts and you're like, hey, so I heard from the senior leadership team and they kind of went through the numbers with me with budgeting and our project scope here. And that would actually put us really way in the red. We can't use this. It costs too much. So then the subject matter experts come back to you and they say, well, that's too bad. There's no other option. There's no plan B. It's either we use this or nothing at all. And also, if we don't use this simulation, this program really isn't going to go so well. We wanted to make this the heart, the core, the main marketing material when it comes to this brand new program. So either we use this or we're going to have a really tough time here and we're not going to budge. Cool. All right. So what do you do? Well, this exact thing, kinda, I changed a few details here, but something very similar has happened to me a couple of different times. That you have two parties looking out for the best interests of the students, the learners, the organization. You have from the subject matter expert perspective, as they were saying, we've used this simulation. It is fantastic. The learners are going to get a ton out of it. We can use it for so much teaching material. We need to use this thing, which you understand. But then you go and hear from your senior leadership team about how, yeah, if we're going to be using this, then we need to increase the cost of the course, of the program, whatever it is. And we need to really hike it up there. It's just not smart. We shouldn't be doing this. Is there any other option, any other plan B we can try to use? So you get both sides of the story. One is thinking about the learning experience. One is thinking about the costs and trying to make sure that the product is going to be affordable. You understand. However, where's the middle ground? And unfortunately, you, as a middle person, may have to figure this out. Now, in this case, since this was kind of based on a real story-ish, I was actually able to go research more about the vendor and negotiated the price down by doing kind of a long-term contract. Really weird. Definitely don't want to go into more detail about that. But the thing is that I did find a way to make it work. Really wasn't so fun. It was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of headaches, but I did manage to get it done. Now, you as an instructional designer may find yourself in the same position where essentially you are drafting up a peace treaty to hope that both parties are going to be done fighting and you can move on to the project. But the thing which is so interesting is that you understand both perspectives of where people are coming from. In this case, I said subject matter experts and I said the senior level team. Perhaps this is going to be the dean or the senior instructional designer team or the senior director or, whoever it is. There's a number of different people who could potentially be arguing about different types of circumstances who both have the best intentions in mind, but you can't make it happen. You can't please everybody. What do you do? So that's something that I really, really wish that people would tell me about before, as far as hey, you really better work on your negotiation skills because it very well could happen to you, but you're going to find yourself in this very odd predicament and it's up to you. What are you going to do? Now, this is not common. This is not like an everyday experience. I do not want to scare you. Once again, not trying to dissuade you, but I really wish that someone had told me about this before because it has happened to me a couple of different times throughout my career. And when it does happen, it's a lot. It's really a lot to handle. It's a lot to make everybody happy. And unfortunately, you have to be very creative with how you're going to solve the problem, how you're going to fix the dilemma. But that, folks, that is the cons of instructional design in my perspective. I hope this was helpful. I hope it helped you to understand a little bit more about the instructional design world. Once again, for like the third or fourth time that I said in this video, not trying to dissuade you, but I just want you to be more well-informed about the entire field itself before you go out and try to become an instructional designer. But go down below, what actually caught you by surprise with my cons list? Or was there a con that you thought I should have mentioned, but I really didn't talk about it? Really curious to hear your thoughts about that one. Do all the other typical stuff of liking and subscribing over to this YouTube channel. But other than that, folks, that is all I have for you today. Stay nerdy out there. And I'll talk to you next time.